So I thought I'd put together this wee video for you just to help you along, and mainly from a point of view of modeling the methods that you might actually use to go through modeling a part. And thought I'd choose this part. This is one of the ones I gave you on an exercise, and it was something that I found on the internet. It's quite an interesting little part. It's got quite a lot of features on it, and you know, it involves some revolves and hole patterns and extrusions. So I thought it would be quite an interesting one for you to try. So I'm going to go through it now, and one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all come up with a plan. So I'm going to take a screenshot of the part here, and I'm going to make a little plan. Okay, so my plan is going to be this. So my first thing that I'm going to model, if I look at my drawing again, I can see that the first thing probably is that base there, and then this looks like one big cylinder, and I can see from the section view there's a cylinder here, there's another cylinder there, and there's a taper there. So this looks like a good place to start. There's a little bit of a step in there. There's a chamfer on the edge, chamfer on that edge. Nothing too overly complicated. So I think for me, what I'm going to start with is my first step is going to be modeling that. Okay, so I'm going to do that rectangle, or that little box. Okay, then my next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do this revolve here. Okay, so that's going to be my next one, and there's some inner detail. I think there was a little step on it, and then there was a tapered hole down at the bottom. So that's going to be my next one after I finish that. And then I think, so these holes and everything, I'm going to leave them to last. So then the next one I'll probably do is I'll probably create, say, this part here. Now there's a number of ways that we could do that. We could extrude this first as one extrusion, and then we could do a sketch for this and extrude that. But I can probably do all of that in one if I just take a cross section and I go up and I say, there is my cross section, and I've got a center line here, and then I just need half of it, so I don't need this part here. So I can actually just revolve that section about this axis here, and then the same on the other side. Then this is probably going to be my last major feature here. I'm going to do this one. Looks like there's a hole in it. That's probably going right through to the middle, and then I've got a center line going through there. So I'll be revolving that one. So that's probably the order that I'm going to do things in. So this one is 1. This one here is going to be 2. Where was I? This one here, 3. And this one here, number 4. And then the remainder then will just be making up, putting in like the chamfers, the holes, the hole patterns, the thread, things like that, tidying up the fillets. So the easier ones till the end. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this one. So we've got a base. Let's see, what is it? It is so it's 10 mil high, and it's a rectangle with a inscribed circle diameter 70, and the holes happen to sit on that, so we can see that this circle is tangent to the edges there. So I'm going to sketch this. This is going to be my X here. So I'm going to sketch this rectangle off at the angle. So I'm going to sketch it off at 90 degrees and keep the rest of this, I think, on the plane. of the model. So let's get cracking. So here's my fusion, and I'm just going to create a new component, and I'm just going to leave it as component 1. And I will, let's see, did I give that a name? Maybe not. No name on it, but we'll call it something in a sec. So I'm on that component, and I'm going to start looking down at the top. So if I look at this drawing, this is going to be my top here. So if I come back to my drawing, let's choose that one. So that direction there is going to be top. Looking in this direction here is going to be front. And then looking in here, that's going to be my side. Okay, so I'm going to start off sketching this rectangle on the top. Okay, so there's my top. I orientate it so as I can see the text, because then I know this is front, left, right, back. Okay, so started sketching, and sorry, I need to actually click on the plane to sketch. So let's draw our rectangle. So you probably know this already, but you can create angles. You can create rectangles at angles. So let's say if I want to draw this off at certain angles, this is how I can do it. Now this one has a circle in the center, and it's a diameter 70, so I'm going to draw this diameter 70. You'll notice I haven't popped everything on the origin just yet, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want everyone to see how to do that. Okay, so I'm just drawing this 70, and if I grab the center point, you can see I can move it around. It's floating, right? So now I just want to get these lines on here, and the way to do that is just to make them tangent. Okay, so if I click on the tangent, click this line, tangent to that circle, you can see the circle moving around to touch off the lines, and the lines moving to hit off the circle. So now I've got this circle, and these lines are on it, but I can still rotate this off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a construction line. So I'm going to come over here and click construction. I'm going to draw a line between there and there, and then I'm going to make that vertical. So I'm going to say horizontal, vertical, and say make that vertical. Okay, so I'm constraining things. So now when I grab these edges, you see it just pans around in 3D space. Now the last thing that I think I need to do is just to actually lock this down in 3D space, and the easiest way to do that is to make that center point coincident there, because we go back to my image. Go back to the drawing, that's the origin there, right down through the middle of the cylinder, down at the bottom there. So the center of this, or the center there of these lines, is where the origin is. So let's pop that on the origin now. So I'm going to click here, and there we go. Everything's gone black. It's all fully constrained. Okay, and I can try and grab some geometry, and I can see that's all fully constrained. So I'm going to click finish there, and as is usual, I'm going to leave all these radiuses here. We'll leave them out. We don't need to worry about those just yet. We'll pop all those in at the end. Now this circle here, I could quite easily have put that in as construction. And you see, if I don't have it in, I've got to select all the regions that I want to extrude. Now if I hold down Control, let's say, and I get rid of that one, you'll see, you know, I can add and remove these regions as I want. Now I think if I had edited that sketch and make that a construction piece of geometry, and then click finish and go extrude, then it doesn't see these little quadrants, it just sees the whole lot. Okay, so if I hold down Control, there's no little profiles or regions for me to include or exclude. So I'll leave it just construction for now. I don't think it's going to cause any problems. I know that's 10 high, so let's make that 10. Okay, so then the next thing that I want to do is looking at the front view. So remember from our drawing, this is a front view. We're going to start sketching this. So one of the things we got to decide is what we're putting in here. So first of all, we're definitely going to leave out all the chamfers, any fillets and radiuses, all those are gone. Okay, so we've got an internal hole, and then we've got this other cylinder at the top, and then we've got this cylinder here, which is actually 40 diameter. So let's just roughly start sketching this in. We know kind of what it looks like, so let's start roughly sketching it in. So I'm going to go to my front view. Now I'm looking at my front and I can see this is off at a little angle. That's what I want. So if I go to my front, click on a sketch, select that plane because that is the plane that's going to be from the front. And now we're ready to start sketching. So one of the things that I want to do is I need to pull in this edge. Now, some of the times when you start sketching, it'll snap to edges. Other times it won't. Okay, so if you need to pull in that edge and we want to put geometry on it, the way to do that is to go Create, Project Include, and Project. So that brings geometry into your sketch. The shortcut for that is P. Okay, so if I press P, you'll see it opens up this little dialog, and I can click these two lines here and just leave these settings as is. Projection link just means that if this geometry changes, the line that we're about to project in moves with it. So I click OK, and I can see there now we've projected in those lines. And incidentally, this treats it's treated like a solid line as if you drew it, so you don't need to draw over that again with another solid line. So let's just rough in this shape. We're going to do it as a revolved piece. So in actual fact, I only need this half, so I don't need this portion here. So I'm going to get rid of that one. So I just hit delete there to get rid of that. And I want to do a center line. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to draw on a line. I'm going to pop it down this way. Okay, so, and this is going to be a center line. So you see now it's changed that. And even though I'm drawing the geometry up here, if I'm using a center line, I always move it away from where my geometry is going to be. That way it's easy for me to find the center line, because now I'm going to go start creating geometry, right? So if there was a line coming up here, then this center line would be overlapping it, and sometimes it's difficult to find the center line and to pick it. So I normally pull it in the other direction, and you don't need to add a dimension to that. You can if you want to, but you don't really need to. So let's just start roughing this in. It comes up to about there, comes in, goes up to the top, steps down a little bit. I think there's a step that way. Maybe it's the other way. And then there's a chamfer or some kind of angle out. Now I can see that's snapping to the midpoint. I don't want that. Let's move it off a little bit. And I don't need to close this up because that projected geometry is doing that for me. That's why this is all gone light blue. So let's have a look at the drawing. So I got that. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. So let's make this outer diameter 40, and then this upper one is 30, and then the total height is 115 from the bottom, and then this step is 25 down from the top. So let's do that. So I'm going to start off with this one at the bottom, and I'm simply going to add in. Now I've made this a center line, so when I click that center line and this, what should happen is I get a diameter. Okay, so it gives me the full diameter because it knows it's on a center line, which is quite handy. Now I can see I've set this at 40, and some of this geometry is not working right. So just before you go any further, let's just start moving things a little bit further into the right location. So I can see instead of grabbing the line, I'm going to grab the center, the end point. I'm going to grab that one there, and I'm going to pull that there. And that is roughly where I want things. So the top here is 30. So let's add that in. That's 30. I think that's correct. Yeah, the top is 30. So then we're 115 from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to select the line. Select this line. Okay, and make that 115. And then we're 25, I believe, down from the top. So 25 from the top to there. Okay, so that's that outer geometry done. So there's our 25 down to here. So now we've got 16 diameter at the top and down 30. Let's do that one. So that's 16 in the middle, and then this line is 30. So I don't really need to worry about where I'm placing things at the minute. This isn't a drawing, but it can be helpful just to tidy things up. So let's pull that out there and tidy it up a little bit. Then the next one is, this is diameter 25, this one. And let's see, can I tell where it ends? Do I have a dimension for that? 35, there it is there, right in front of me. So diameter 25, so 30 at the bottom and 35 up. Okay, so let's go 35 up. Let me just make sure I'm reading that right. So 35 from the bottom. My apologies. So that's from here up to there, which is the end of the chamfer is 35. Then this is 25. So let's make that 25. And then 30 at the bottom. So then this is diameter 30 at the bottom. Everything has gone black for us. That means it's all fully constrained. And this sketch isn't that complicated, but I'm not going to go, there's no more real features for us to start adding here other than the fillets and whatnot. But let's, I really don't want you to get into that actually drawing in fillets. There are some cases like this is a taper or a chamfer or a draft or whatever we want to call it. But it's probably easier for us to draw this in rather than put this in as a feature. So, you have to use your best judgment a little bit. So let's click OK there. Now we're ready to do the revolve. So we've got a center line, we've got our profile. You can see it's gone slightly blue there. So if I click revolve, should start to automatically select things. Had a little trouble with the axes, but that's okay. So there's our first part. Now we can see that I've got a little bit of a problem in that the hole does not extend down in through here, through this piece. I could try to incorporate that into one component. I could possibly reorder these a little bit, but then it would cause me to go back and have to rethink my model. So I'm just going to click OK on that, and I'm going to just go edit sketch on here, and then I'm going to go back to my front view, and I don't have any, the chamfer carries on down. So let's carry on that line further on down. And we're going to the bottom now. So I can see it's put parallel between there. That's good. And then we're going to, all I need is that line because now it's creating. So if I turn my bodies off there, so I just added in that line. This is projected, this is projected. There's a line coming down here. So it's created that region for me, as I can see it here. So I can hover over it to see this region. If you don't want to see these regions, you can turn off profiles. Okay, so you won't see those, but they're quite handy. So actually I can use that to create a cut. So I don't need any more geometry. I just needed that line. So let's turn the bodies back on. Okay, so we've edited our sketch. We've done our revolve. Now we just need to do another one. So Fusion very handily auto hides sketches. So you just need to turn it back on. There is a setting for that, but I'm not going to do that in this video. So let's turn that back on and we'll do a revolve, and this time we're going to do a cut. Now I can't select it, so this is where we need to left click and hold, and then I get this little menu up and I can just hover over each one of those and decide which one it is. It's that profile there. My axis is that axis. I'm removing material, click OK, and there we go. Now it's not, I've got two features where I really only wanted one, but that's okay. It's I've still only got one sketch and it's easy to follow. Okay, so let's have a look and see according to our plan what we're going to do next. So we've done that one. So now let's do this one. Okay, and that again is looking in from the front, and it's these set of dimensions here that we're now going to attempt to recreate. Okay, so we've got a little bit of detail on the end there. I don't believe we have an outer diameter for that, so we may have to look at, oh, there it is there. So it's down there is 30. So let's sketch this in. So this is actually quite straightforward. Okay, so let's start doing this. Again, I'm just going to rough it in for now. Okay. So let's come to my front view. And again, I'm going to switch off that sketch for now and just take a look at the planes. So that's the plane there that I'm going to be drawing on. Okay, because there's my front view and I'm going to be looking in on that one. So I can either click sketch, or I can actually select that plane there, right click on it and go create sketch. And that will start me a sketch on that plane. Now just remember, or work plane, just remember to turn these off, this origin. Remember to turn that off whenever you've started a sketch. Okay, and if you've started a sketch and you can't remember, well, which plane did I start it on, you can always just hit this look at, and that brings you to the sketch view, okay, of the current plane that you're sketching on. So let's start drawing this in. Again, I'm going to do this roughed out. So I've got a center line that I'm going to pop down here. I'll change that in a sec. And then I have some solid geometry. Now I'm going to start the solid geometry out here, or as close to out here as I can. So this is probably one of those instances now where I need to decide, can I actually do this as a revolve? Okay, so let's actually just finish this sketch and let us add in a section view. So if I go to inspect and go to section analysis. Now when I do section analysis, you see it brings up the planes, but they're very ghosted. Okay, so to do a section view, I can select one of those origin planes. Let me turn them on properly. So I can select one of these and it'll cut through it. Now it's gone the wrong direction here for me. I want to view it from the front, so I can just click this little flip. Okay. Other things that I can do is I can actually click on a face and I can drag it in till I've cut through, but I want to see it from the front, so it makes more sense for us just to select the front plane, which I believe is that one. Flip the direction, click OK. Now we've got this new little folder called analysis, and our section view is in there, so we can create a number of them. I'll leave it on for now, and then I'm going to go into my edit my sketch and look at it from the sketch plane. And if I start to draw this geometry, actually I think that it could cause me a problem. Okay, so I might end up with a little bit of an issue. So let's just start fleshing it out a little bit. And I think I only need to do to the center. So actually I very much confused you there with that line. That's not my line of revolution at all. My center line is up here. So let's pop that up there somewhere, and I'm going to make that vertical to that point. So I'm going to click my vertical command, click that. So now that's always up there. And this one is my center line, so I'm going to make that my center line. And let's start adding the dimensions. So I think that dimension there is 30, and then the inner is 15. Okay, so 30 to there, and then I've got an inner hole at 15. So you'll notice I've capped this off, but I don't really need to start trimming. You don't need to be overly tidy with your sketching, because you can select regions. Okay, so I can leave that line on there. Now I've left this, so this hole here, this area that I'm removing here, this wants to go all the way through. So I can actually just bring that in and again make this point vertical to that one. Because maybe I'm going to have to take another approach. So with this one, let's see if I end the geometry about here, what's going to happen. So I'm just a bit worried about how this geometry is going to end. So I'm just going to close that off for now. I've got that at 30, and that's the right diameter. So let's just finish this and test it out and see what happens. So if I turn off my analysis there, and then just do a revolve of this. So it's selected the profile, and then I want to tell it this is my my actual center line and we're adding the material. So I can see this looks okay, but I've ended up with a gap out here because of the way it's revolving. And if I do a center line analysis, okay, it's left that in, but that's okay. I can cut that out afterwards. So I just need to be careful now that if I go in and modify this sketch, just need to be careful that I don't come too far. Because if I come too far, now I'm adding in material. So we can see the obvious answer now. The obvious answer is project in this line, the edge of this cylinder, and just be coincident to that. So let's do that one. So I'm going to turn off this section analysis. Let's go back into our sketch. We'll go to our sketch view, and I can't see. Now let's say you don't have a section, and I can't see the edge. So this is kind of one of the cases where you might come up and I don't know why my menu is going that way, but I can see 4, 5, 6. I think Control 7 is the one that I want. I'm not sure why my menus are going that way, but Control 7 will give me a wireframe view. Okay, and I can use that to project in this edge here. Okay, so now if I press P and then let's project in, oops, press P and then highlight over it, left click and hold, and it's only giving me that face. So let's see, can I do the endpoints? So I can do that vertex, and if I hover over there, I can do that vertex. That's okay. That's more than enough for me because now I can just make this horizontal to one of those. Okay, so now I've added that right onto that edge. So if I go visual style, and I think it's Control 6. Okay, so let's just have a look in our section view, and we can see my sketch is now coming right to there. So let's just test that. Let's have a look at that, and I can see, okay, that's giving me what I want. It's not gone the whole way through. That's fine. I can always tidy that up in a sec, but the geometry looks right the whole way around. Okay, so let's go back into our sketch and let's finish off the dimensions. Okay, so I think it's the menus are going funny because of the scaling that I've used. So we want to get the dimension, we want to locate this in 3D space, and we can see the center line is actually 70 up, and this big one is 80 millimeters diameter. So let's do that. So we've got a dimension from the bottom up to the center line of 70. Sorry, excuse me. That did not do what I wanted it to do. Let's do from here to the end point. Okay. Because it thought I was going to the center line, so it thought I wanted a diametrical dimension. And actually, I think I could probably do that with... if I right click on here, I think I can lay. So if I right click, I can select diameter, or I can uncheck that to give me that 70 that I was looking for. But I have it in there now, so that's okay. This was 80. It's quite big actually. And let's see, so this is 10. Oops. So sorry this is so long, but figure you can watch it at your own pace. And got this at 2 mil deep and diameter 40, and I'll handle that later. So 15, and then it was 30, and I'm missing something else. What am I missing? Oh yeah, the length out then. So how far this is going out. So this is 110 as a span from here to here. And I don't think I have any more information than that. Okay, so 55 there, and it's 110 in total, so that's 55 from here out to there. So that's from the center line. Okay, it's 55 and 55 that side, which is given as the 110. So if I take a dimension from the center line and come out to here, that'll give me where this edge is. So let's do that. So I'll go from this line to here, and that is 55. Okay. Now I've got another little cut to put in, and shall I do it now? Why not? Okay, so then let's have a look at how we might add this little guy here. Okay, so this is 40 diameter and 2 mil deep. So again, I only need to do part of it, and I don't need it to go all the way in. So I'm just going to start my line here. I'm not drawing over existing lines, don't do that. So I'm just drawing in roughly where I think it's going to be, and then I can start adding in dimensions. So I'm going from the center line to here. So we'll make that 40, and then we'll make this 2 mil deep. Okay, so that's our sketch. We're looking good there. Let's complete that. Go to our section view, and now we can edit our revolve that we popped in there just as a test. Okay, so our sketch is on. I can see our sketch. So if I hold down Control, I can see I've got two profiles selected. Now I can deselect that profile, and then I'm pulling in, you know, I'm creating that little feature there all in one. And then the last thing that I need to do is just cut this out afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to click OK there. I'm going to come in here and edit that sketch. And I've got a line here, I've got a center line there. So I'm just going to add in one more line there. Oops. And that should create a profile for me. Should see that go blue. I do. Okay, so that should create a profile for me now that I can do that cut. The other approach to this is you go and you add in that profile and then cut it away afterwards, but you need more entities in the sketch. So doing it this way is no problem. There's nothing wrong with this. So if I click on sketch, revolve, turn on that sketch there, revolve that about the center line there, okay, and I'm removing the material, click OK, and that's given us our inner geometry there. Okay. So again, I'm leaving these holes off, any of these fillets or anything like that. I'm not going near them. What's this? Have I got some extra geometry there? Well, that's just the neck of the actual part there. So I'm seeing that okay. So that looks good to me. So let's pop this guy in here now. So we've got just a boss here. It steps in. We've got diameter 15, and this is, that's a finish G 3¼ inch. So that's kind of a thread spec. So we'll pop that in as well. Okay, so let's sketch this in. So like before, I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna turn off this sketch. I want to sketch on my front plane, so let's do that. So I'm gonna click start sketch, and I can see they're ghosted there slightly, but if I hover over it, I can see my plane down there. So I'm gonna click on that. Yours will automatically rotate, but mine I just need to click on look at. Again, I'm just gonna rough this in. So I'm gonna put roughly where I think my center line is gonna be. And I'm gonna turn that into a center line. Then I'm gonna sketch the actual boss itself. So I think it looks something like this. That's the inner hole. Then we've got the outer bit with the thread on it. And we've got this diameter up here. And now I'm gonna start sketching in this. So I think I know that that diameter there is 30. So let's put that in. So that's this diameter here is 30. So let's scale things up for us. It's not caused any issues. Now I need to look up that thread spec. This one here, G 3/4 inch. Now I know that it doesn't translate to 3/4 inch. So it's actually the major diameter we want is 1.041. Okay. Now we'll just model it in at that size. Okay. We won't. We're not going to spend too much time on this, so we'll just model it in at 1.041. Now In Fusion, there's a handy little thing that if you have a diameter, or if you have some information from somewhere else like that, 1.041, and if I type in inch, it will automatically convert that to millimeters. Now if I double click on it, you'll see it's still in the inch, but I see it in millimeters there. So that's quite handy. So let's see what this diameter is here, this inner one. That is 15 millimeters diameter. So now let's put the end point. So this is going to be our inner cut, and this is our center line. So our center line wants to be vertical to there, and we'll put the inner line of our inner cut vertical to the origin as well. So let's do that one. So that's vertical to there. That is vertical to there. This line here we're actually going to put a bit further out, but for now these are in the wrong place. So let's just pull these out this way for now. So again, we want to put this on that inner edge. So let's pull in our analysis and see, can we project in that edge? No, we can't select that. I'm pretty sure there's a way, but if I hover over here and I left click and hold, I should be able to, can't quite grab the vertex, but let's try that again. And I think it was Control 7 for my wireframe. So I'll press P to project in, and I want to try and grab that vertex there. No, it's giving me the edge, so that's okay. I can take the edge because then I can make this vertical to the end point of that. Okay, so remember, we just want this to be on there, so as when we create the boss again, we don't have any overlapping or undercut geometry. Now let's find out where this goes height-wise. So let's take a look and see what we have. Here's our dimension to that boss there. This feature here, it's actually over here, and that's 50 millimeters up. So let's pop in that dimension. That's from the bottom up to here. That's 50. Now it's doing a diameter for me, so let's just right click here, switch off that diameter dimension, and now it's giving me a linear dimension to the center line. So most of this is black, we can see we're almost there. Just got to locate these. So let's see if we can get some dimensions. So we know that the end point is 55 from there, and this thread is 27 to that shoulder. So the thread is actually 3 millimeters away from the shoulder. So we'll do that in a little while. So let's do that 27 and 55. Okay, so we'll add in 55 from the center. Sorry, excuse me. I had something selected there. So that's 55 to the outer, and then 27 down to that shoulder. Now we're going to add the thread in later on. Pretty sure it was 27. Yeah, 27. Okay, so then just from experience, we know that we need, oh, sorry, pressed escape there. So let's just make this end point of the center line vertical to there. And I'm going to want to be cutting away this geometry here. So let's add in a line. Now I'm only adding on to the end. I'm not drawing a line from here over to here. Don't overlap geometry. That just makes it confusing for you. And if I do that, and then if I go back to the visual style that I had it, which is a Control 6, now I can see my profiles. The last line that I need is this one. So let's add that line in, and that will allow me to create. So there's my body, there's my added material, and this is the material that I'm going to take away. Okay, so that looks good to me. Let's click OK there. Now let's add in the feature. So let's do our first one. Let's add material. So we're going to add that material. Our axis is there. We're going to say join that. We'll have a look at that, and this all looks good. Click OK. If we turn on our section analysis, we'll see we've got that little bit still there. So let's turn our sketch back on. And then let's do a revolve of this profile now. Our axis is this inner line here. And we're removing material, that's correct. And it's in free space, so we're getting no issues. And then if we turn it off, we can see we got our nice part there. So let's go back to our plan. So we've followed our plan. Now our last bits then are to add in the holes and the thread spec and the fillets. Okay. So let's take a look at the drawings. So here we have 4 holes, diameter 10, equidistant. Okay. So this is kind of one of those either way is preferable kind of situations, and in fact, because there's no thread spec on any of those, they're just holes at diameter 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go right back to the start, and I'm going to modify that initial sketch, and I'm going to add in 1, 2. I'm going to put a line across there, and I'm going to make it construction, and I'm going to go 3, 4. I'm going to add a diameter to that one of 10. I'm going to select all 4 holes by holding down Control and selecting them, and then I'm going to click the equals, and that's now made them all the same diameter. And now if I click OK, you can see now I've got those in my sketch. And if I go back to my very first protrusion, right click on there, edit feature, hold down Control, and then just deselect these. So now I've managed to add in those holes without adding any more features. So because they're not threaded, I don't really need to add them as an actual hole feature. And these are the same. Now there's no threads on these, but I've revolved this feature, so I do need to add those in. So let's do a little sketch. Let's sketch on that surface there. Okay, and I'm going to project in this line here, and that gives me the center point. So these are on a diameter 60, and there's 4 of them at the 9, 12, 6 and 3 positions. So sorry, what was that diameter? That was 60 millimeters diameter. So let's draw that in. 60. Let's make that construction. I'm going to do a vertical line just to set one position. Make that construction. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4. And actually I didn't need that line, so let's do that without that line. 4. Okay, so again I'm going to add a dimension to that. They are diameter 10. And again I'm going to left click, hold down Control, select all 4 of them, click equals. So now they're all the same diameter. Now I just want to make these vertical and horizontal to this origin point. So make that vertical to that, this vertical to that, that horizontal to that, and that horizontal to that. So I could draw in lines, but I can do it just as easy by adding those constraints. Click OK. Now let's do an extrude. We'll click on all the regions that we want to extrude. Let's drag the arrow in the direction we want to go. Okay. Now we could just by it and go right, leave it there. But if you're designing this and maybe you're changing this depth, you probably don't want to do that. So let's just go to object. So let's say continue this extrude until this object. So now we've got this select dialog, and then we can select that edge. So if we start to modify this extrude now, okay, and we make that, let's say 20, those holes move with it. Okay, so they're always going to that surface. Okay, so let's see what else we got. So we got to add in this thread spec here. Let's do that quickly. So it's on this surface here. Let's turn off that sketch. So we're going to create thread. I'm not going to select anything from there. I'm just going to select the cylinder. It automatically selects it for me. Okay. And there is, let's see the size, and normally there is a normally I'd end up with an actual offset that'd be able to apply, but maybe I'm thinking of Inventor, but for now I'm gonna say I'm okay with that. Now you'll see that if I want to change between the two of them, oh yeah, I can change the diameter there. Let's not do that though. That's quite interesting. If I want to see, so I'm just getting a visual representation of the thread here. I can click on model, as you saw, and it will model in the thread for me. I don't want that. Okay, so let's just click OK. I don't mind what spec you choose. If you want to leave it ISO, that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so that's our thread in. It's popped it in as a little feature. So let's see, have we got anything else? That was kind of it in our plan, I think. So we've added those holes, we've done everything else, and now let's just add in, so we've got chamfer there and a chamfer on the end there. We've got, have we a chamfer there? I don't think so. So let's just add in these are 1x45, so let's just do those quickly. And then we'll do some fillets and we will call it a day at that, because this video is long enough. So I'm going to click on chamfer. Don't need to enter the value. Let's just click these edges first. Okay, type in 45. Oh, sorry, not 45. 1. Okay, so 1 by 1 does equal, it ends out as being 1x45. You can put in angle and distance 1 millimeter by 45 if you want to. That's the way it'll show up in the drawing. Either way is totally fine. Okay, so there's our chamfers in. So now we've got radius 4. These are radius 10s, so let's put those in. Let's put those fillets in down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then everything else seems to be a 4. So we've got 4 there, 4 here, 4 there, 4 there. So 4 at all the joins basically. So 4 there, 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 and pretty sure there was one more. Oh yeah, there. Okay, let's make that 4. And that model looks kind of complete to me. If I'm missing something, I do apologize, but I think we have most of the major stuff. And let's just take a look at our analysis. That's all looking good. There's no gaps in it. Okay, so I hope that was of use to you as a modeling method. Once again, apologies for the length of this, but I just wanted to take the time to do it right and just talk it over with you so as you can look at it yourself in your own time.